Scorpion Leo. This is an interesting relationship. Um, so very similar in certain ways, but so very different. Where to begin? Let's look at the positive elements of these signs together first. Both of these signs are all about power, all about excellence, achieving personal power, personal achievement. By being the best that they can be. Both of these signs are very much concerned with being literally, I'll be saying it a lot during this video, but powerful as possible. And there's some challenges and there's some beautiful benefits to the two of these individuals coming together. When you have two fixed signs, these are two of the four fixed signs along with Aquarius and Taurus. When you have two fixed signs coming together, they teach each other a lot, and they also challenge each other a lot. The Scorpio will find the Leo to be very arrogant, to be very egotistical, and it's through no fault of the Leo. The Leo is naturally a fire sign, and so relates everything to the ego, to the self. I think this, I like this, I do this. That's really intriguing as well as really annoying to the Scorpio, who's very much more, it's a water sign, so very much more reflective, not at all centered around the ego. But again, it's intriguing, and it goes both ways, but these differences are intriguing because they both recognize the incredible power that the other person has. The Scorpio sees in the Leo, even though there's that ego and it's, the Scorpio's like, I don't know. They see how powerful and commanding the presence of the Leo is, and how that really inspires people to trust the Leo, to follow the Leo, and to be sympathetic to the Leo, which is something that Scorpio could really learn a lot from, because Scorpio is much more the loner, the introspective, maybe not so much, loner, yes, but shy, much more timid, much more contained. And so learning from the Leo partner, friend, whatever, how to express themselves is really helpful for the Scorpio. Because despite, all of the misconceptions about Scorpios don't hate the world. They're very dark people, they're very mysterious. But that's not a bad thing. That's just how they are. That's how they function. They think deep. It's not even about thinking. They feel deep. They truly go to the depths of things, of people, of emotions. And it's really helpful. Ultimately, Scorpios do want to connect to people. The highest form of the Scorpio, as I've said in a couple other videos, is the eagle. And so the Scorpio, over the course of their life, is meant to rebirth and rebirth and rebirth from the perspective of the Scorpion, the very cynical, you can only, a little bit more narrower vision, focused on, from the earth up. And again, that's not a bad thing. We all evolve, if you will. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon, so I'm seeing a lot of fire and water and evolve. That's so funny. It's all coming in. But alright, focus. We're all meant to evolve over the course of our lives and to reach higher and higher heights, to understand things about ourselves that make us more in tune with ourselves and make life more fulfilling and more happy. And again, especially for these two signs, but for everyone really, every single sun sign, we are meant to evolve to become more powerful individuals, to come into our own energies and our own presence. Every single person has their own unique energies, their own unique gift to offer the world, that only they can offer. Even if somebody else has the exact same energies, that particular person, everyone's unique. Again, even with twins who have practically the same birth time and all the other information, we all take those energies and go about them in our own particular way. That's where the soul comes in. That's when our life purpose and our soul's journey comes in. And so, as Scorpio evolves, ultimately, that highest form is the eagle. The highest form that's infinite is the eagle. the ability to soar. And Scorpios still are rather private people, you know, are very much, I guess, shy in the beginning, yes, but later on, even when they become extremely powerful, some of the most powerful men and women in history have been Scorpios. Teddy Roosevelt, Charles de Gaulle, uh, so many people. And even when they reach that highest form of power, it's not so much shyness or timidity as just privateness. As you know, Scorpios know who they like, they know what they like, and even in the highest forms of power, which they are meant to achieve, Scorpios are powerful people who like to use their incredible power. They're ruled by Mars and Pluto, and these are incredibly, how to put it, they're incredibly dynamic energies. And as Scorpios get past the lower levels of, you know, of obsession with sex, obsession with, you know, darkness and mystery, and obsession with just the lower stuff that we all, you know, get trapped in as we grow up, the highest form is power being used for everybody's sake. And so that's why Leo and Scorpio really do, even though they're square, you know, whenever you have two signs that are of the same, what's it called? Quadruplicity or triplicity. It's one of those. But basically, whenever you have two signs that are the same, either fixed, in the case of Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, mutable, or cardinal, whenever you have two signs of the same, in the same field, you could say, and they're not opposite, for example, Scorpio and Taurus are opposite, or partner signs, as I like to say. And so Scorpio is square with Aquarius or Leo, right? Just like, yeah, you get my point. But essentially, these signs, although squares produce tension, they do. You know, you have two signs that are, for example, in this case, both fixed and both emotional. They're both right-brained based. They clash in certain ways. They do. Again, and I've already kind of touched on it. The Leo ego, that's one aspect of the square, could get in the way. But ultimately, these signs are so similar. Again, they're both emotional. They're both fixed. They're both very focused. They're very powerful. Again, powerful energies. And so when you get these two signs together, they're born to teach each other. They're born to help each other, to complement each other. Now, it's very crucial, like in any square, to not try and fix each other. It can be a little bit all too natural for any square relationship to see the power, for example, in this specific relationship, to see the power and say, from the Leo's point of view to the Scorpio, oh, well, you'd be so much powerful if you just stepped out into the, you know, the stage right now. Why don't you do it right now? You're way too shy, whatever. There can be too much judgment whenever a square occurs, and again, in this case. And the opposite of that would be, you know, the Scorpio would say to the Leo, well, you would be somewhat, you're a very powerful person, but you would be even more powerful if you would, you know, if you would stop to listen. Now, there may be truths to these things, and again, this is what's really great about this relationship, is both signs teach each other, and offering up advice that may kind of, you know, ruffle the feathers does lead to beautiful things in the end. You know, just like any experience, really, no matter how challenging or traumatic it may be. So what's the best way to go about this? The best way, awareness-wise, I've touched on Scorpio a lot in this relationship, so let's look at Leo. To get the most out of this relationship, Leo's got to take into account that Scorpio is just naturally, they go about things differently. And to not think that their way is the best way, you know? I mean, Leos have that challenge in general, but especially with the Scorpio, they can be a little bit too just forward, you know? And try and drag the Scorpio out into the spotlight because that's what they feel is right. It's not good. The Leos got to let the Scorpio do their thing at their own pace, at their own time. Again, Scorpios are meant to rise and get to that highest level of, you know, power and of leadership, just like Leo is. But they gotta do it in their own way, at their own pace. It's water. You know, if you try and hold water, if you try and grab it, it'll fall through your fingers. Water's gotta flow in its own way. You can't control it. You can metaphorically, you can put up dams. You can help them guide the water with advice, with actions that aren't forcing the water person to go a certain way. But certainly you gotta let them go it your own way. And for Leo, that's really challenging. That is, because again, Leo thinks they know best, and they may. This is the most challenging aspect of any square relationship. Is yes, there is something to the Leo saying get out in the spotlight. There always is something to that advice, but there also needs to be so much awareness and consciousness that people are different and that people go about things in different ways. And so, yes, it's very helpful for the Leo to be, hey, you should, you have this amazing talent, you have this amazing message, you have this amazing whatever. Because the Scorpio is very likely to say, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Self-doubt and emotion and being scared of just what it's like to be in front of a room full of people or in front of a society and to, be doing one's thing. And so there is something to that of, yes, come on, do that. But again, they gotta go about it their own way. It's absolutely essential. And so it's really important for the Leo to not be so bossy, really, to not be so bossy with the Scorpio. So, alright, so we've covered that. Now the other side, for the Scorpio, to get the most out of this relationship, the challenges. We'll get to the beautiful parts, the challenges. It's really crucial that the Scorpio doesn't try and emotionally manipulate the Leo. I've seen this happen in my personal life, where I had a Leo friend and a Scorpio friend, and they had these power struggles back and forth. And it was overall, again, they had that understanding though too, that the square relationship provides. They both were fascinated by each other. Of course, neither of them could admit it, which is funny to me, the Gemini watching, because I was like, this is obvious, but I won't say anything. They're so fascinating to each other because they have so much to learn from each other. And in some cases, I should digress real quick, in some cases they should learn how not to be, and that's not a bad thing. A Scorpio can learn from a Leo how not to go about something, even though they know, or rather they want to achieve the same thing. Again, Scorpio and Leo are both leadership power energies, and so both want to lead and be the channel as the leader in a group. In their own way. Scorpio doesn't want to do it standing up and saying, I know best, here's my divine message, follow me. And they say, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to meld in with the group a little bit more. I'm going to feel out emotionally where everything is going on. I'm going to be quiet. Even though, ultimately, yes, I will lead the group like that powerful Leo does. And, yeah. That digression totally got me off track. I forgot where we were. Scorpio challenge is, again, to not manipulate emotionally. And that I saw that happen, where overreactions, emotional overreactions, and also, especially, emotional overreactions is also in the realm of Leo here, But what's not so much in the Leo realm and more so in the Scorpio is the... put it. There was a coldness, I guess you could say. There was a meanness, of just being, of bristling with irritation. And, the Leo, being a happy Leo, fiery, would say something that the Scorpio would overreact with. They would say, oh, so how was your day today? And the Scorpio would snap. And of course, it was stemming from how the Leo was being bossy before, but the Scorpio couldn't explain it or express it. They got this trapped in the underworld of emotion, the depths of emotion, and so it's just like, whoosh, and that's not helpful to the relationship. It's very important that the Scorpio feels that it's okay, that it's okay to express anger or hurt if the Leo crosses a line. Fire signs do that. That is the nature of fire, is to burn uncontrollably. It's very important for fire to have certain boundaries set without trying to control the fire individual. That's not going to work. It's not going to work out. But it is very important to set up walls and boundaries, especially for Scorpio, who doesn't like to be trespassed upon and will strike when trespassed upon. If not the first time, then with even more vengeance the second or third time. it's very important for Scorpio to communicate with the Leo, and in all realms, not just when angry, but especially when angry, because otherwise there's so much misunderstanding between these two signs. And if direct communication is not established, these two signs will just battle out each other infinitely, and that doesn't help anyone. You have two powerful signs here, and two very much vengeance-oriented signs. If their ego, in the case of Leo, is insulted. And so it's a lot better to just communicate and just totally avoid all of those problems. To just communicate and get it all out there, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you feel. And it's very uncomfortable for both of these signs to call out what other sign on their shit, without being antagonistic. It's very, very important, again, to be high-minded. And honestly, the Leo kind of has a role of teaching in that way, of being high-minded. The Scorpio can get a bit vindictive and really gains from that fiery energy, instead of just getting stagnated in water that's just nasty and like, oh, they said this and they did that, I'm going to get back at them. Fire releases all of that nasty water, Again, I always see water as very healthy when flowing. When stagnating, becoming a swamp, very unhealthy. And so fire is good because, the metaphor is it boils water. It gets it to shake up some of that stagnation. So that's good. But again, that fire can get overboiling, and especially when they get self-righteous and they say, I'm going to change this person because I know how. Oh God, that's not going to end up well. And it's very important for the Scorpio to say right away, or whenever you feel comfortable, if you're the Scorpio, to communicate, hey, that wasn't cool when you said or you did that. You have the right. With Leo individuals, they can be very intimidating, and they can feel like you don't have the right to approach the king or queen or, whatever. No, you do. You absolutely do. And again, Scorpio is the king or queen of the underworld, the king or queen of the night. And so, again, you have very powerful energies here. If they just can communicate, if they can just get their shit out of the way and be able to talk, that's when you reach the highest form of this energy. The highest evolution. Totally Pokemon. Focus. Is you have two signs that are working with each other instead of trying to battle against each other and have power struggles and prove that I am the more powerful one. If you let that stuff go and if you rise to the top of your energies, if both people rise to the top of their energies and stop trying to prove that they're more powerful than the other, then you have two people that as a team are unstoppable. It's incredible what happens when a Scorpio and a Leo comes together. You have two signs that are very similar and yet very different, and they complement each other beautifully. They both are very emotional and they go off of instinct and intuition, but they go about it in very different ways. And when these two signs are allies, and especially in a business or work environment especially, they're unstoppable. The Leo can go and be the more forthright one, the one who gets, all the people joined and together and the, is in the spotlight. And the Scorpio can kind of sit back and gauge how things are going and see things that the Leo will miss, as one will if one's in the spotlight versus the shadows, And of course, again, at the top of this energy, the Leo is good and free in their ego to allow their Scorpio friends to take the spotlight. And this could also go for romantic relationships as well. It's really could go for anything, but the first thing that came to my mind is business. But in that case, the Scorpio does have leadership and does have things that need to be said and has incredibly beautiful, penetrating, poignant insights of very much reflective, emotional, introspective nature, and will be able to key into people's emotions, and especially their own. And so a healthy relationship between these two signs is the Leo giving the Scorpio their spotlight and letting the Scorpio exercise their incredible power instead of just thinking it's me, 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 me. To relate it planetarily, we have the sun, the vibrant Leo sun, with Mars and Pluto, and Mars and the sun are both very volatile and in very good and challenging ways. We've covered the challenging stuff already. And the good ways are they're both very powerful. They're both forward moving. They both like progress. They both are interested. in exacting positive change. And because it's Scorpio, that element of Mars, and Pluto for that matter, which, by the way, quick aside, I have a theory that in the Kuiper belt, the second asteroid belt, basically there's the one between Mars and Jupiter, and then in the how do you say that, trans-Neptunial realm, basically where Pluto is, right, I don't know if Pluto's in the Kuiper belt or right before it, but there's a second asteroid belt in our solar system, and I have a theory that Pluto connects to a larger astronomical body further on, and that's why it's so powerful. Because I've studied Pluto for a long time, and it truly is a powerful astronomical body. So that might explain, Scorpio's incredible power. Is that little planet, Pluto, this ice ball, is channeling this huge expanse from beyond. So it would be cool to see astronomically what comes to light and if that's supported. But there's got to be something, man. There's something, whether it's in the composition of that planet or something, but fucking hell, Scorpio is powerful. So when you have these two powerful energies working together, Scorpio and Leo, again, anything is possible. And what's beautiful is once Scorpio's risen out of the depths, they're not worried about vengeance. They're not worried about, just having sex and having emotional control and all that stuff. And when Leo's not just worried about, having their ego stroked and looking good and whatever, when they've both risen to their top, holy shit, man, you have two of the most powerful energies at play here. And they can accomplish anything that they set about, whether it's in art or in business or in society. It's really exciting when you have two of these individuals at the top of their game working together, because they complement each other beautifully, and they really get each other, they challenge each other in a really beautiful way. Leo challenges Scorpio to look at the broader vision, to be a little bit less selfish. And I know it's really ironic because, Leo's said to be very selfish energy, but ultimately Leo has a big heart, and they're very much interested in making sure all of their brothers and sisters are having a beautiful life and having a great time and growing and developing. Scorpio can be a little bit insulated, as can Taurus, the partner sign. And so Leo gets Scorpio to look out and be like, oh, there's more. Okay, there's more than I saw. Cool, interesting, very interesting. And the beautiful thing is Scorpio has that exact same wealth of revelation for Leo, to look, instead of so much outside, to look more within, and to ask oneself as the Leo, why do I want attention so bad? It's not even so much, no, that doesn't say what I'm trying to say. What am I really trying to do? Because ultimately, Leo just wants to make the world a better place in their own particular way. They want to express their fires in their own particular way. They want to leave something of value, and they've always known that they have something of incredible value to offer. It's just that they haven't quite had the time to express it, and to show the world what they're capable of. And so they seem very egotistical, because, what they feel inside and what they know they can do hasn't manifested yet. But give them time, and they will. And the beautiful thing about Scorpio is they teach Leo to look inside and be like, so what do I really want to accomplish? How do I accomplish it? What are other ways to go about things? Instead of being dry fire, the Greeks used to say fire was very dry, as opposed to, of course, water, which is very wet. Fire, instead of just burning thoughtlessly, maybe not so much thoughtlessly, but forwardly, bluntly, directly, Scorpio in water teaches them how to weave around obstacles instead of just going straight on and trying to burn it. If fire tries to burn down a mountain, it's not going to work, And yet water knows that by weathering an erosion with a little bit of patience, it will get through that mountain. So that's just one metaphor for how these two energies are so incredible when they come together, because they teach each other about themselves, about each other, about life in general. And when you have two of these energies at the top of their game working together, unstoppable, truly unstoppable. It's a beautiful, beautiful union. They just got to figure out themselves first, and got to figure out the other person, and have a little bit of awareness. It's very crucial. So, namaste.